The best things in life come about by balancing polarity. And in this case, I'm going to share how balancing the opposites of novelty and tradition in your romantic relationship is necessary if you want to stay satisfied long term. So why is novelty so important in a relationship? Well, I think we get a lot of messaging these days about how we as humans evolve to crave novelty in romantic relationships. And usually when people say this, they mean, novelty as in finding a different partner. But I find that to be a little bit of a cop-out because that's really the most surface level way of finding novelty. The most truly rewarding ways to find novelty in a romantic relationship is by doing so with your committed partner. So yes, we are wired biologically to crave novelty, to want to do new and exciting things because it historically helped us survive as a species. But there are absolutely ways to do that with a long-term committed partner. For example, a study by Aaron and colleagues looked at the effect of couples participating in a novel and arousing activity together on their relationship quality. So there was one correlational component to the study where they found a correlation between shared exciting activities and relationship satisfaction, which they also found was mediated by relationship boredom. And then they also did 3 experiments showing that couples found greater increases in relationship quality after spending just 7 minutes in a novel and arousing task together. In other words, doing new things together with your partner improves the relationship, particularly because it keeps boredom at bay. Your relationship will inevitably become stale if you don't pepper in novelty, if you're always doing the same thing over and over again, if you have this very predictable routine. You will in time, probably quicker than you imagine, become more like friends and less like lovers. In order to keep the passion sparking, you need to do new things together. But it's also really important to have tradition in a relationship. And what I mean by this is you need to have some sense of stability in your routine, shared goals and values, what John Gottman calls rituals of connection, which are these day-to-day habits that keep you connected to your partner. Because if everything is new and unpredictable all the time, that can feel very destabilizing and can leave you not knowing really where you stand with your partner. Like you might say, hey, are we going on a date this weekend? Oh, I don't know, let's play it by ear. These things might add an excitement, but if there's no sense of stability, no sense of tradition at all in the relationship, it can be kind of distressing. There's something reassuring about knowing that there are certain stable things in your relationship that you can rely on. Now, what I'm talking about here, the novelty and the tradition, they tend to target 2 different aspects of Sternberg's triangular model of love. Novelty targets the passion aspect, while tradition targets the commitment aspect. Sternberg's triangular model of consummate love is something I talk about in the connection course, by the way. That's where I have over 4 hours worth of the most foundational concepts and skills I could think of to sustaining a healthy relationship. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a romantic relationship either. So I talk about things like this model of love more in depth, and also there are a lot of hands-on homework assignments and journaling prompts to really help you apply the lessons to your life. But can you see how novelty and tradition kind of target different aspects of 3 important pieces here? I'm about to go into exactly how to pepper in more novelty and tradition into your relationship, giving real examples even from my own marriage. But first, a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Zocdoc. I'm willing to bet there's a doctor's appointment that you've been putting off scheduling, either because you don't want to pick up the phone and talk to someone, you're worried they won't be able to fit you in for a really long time, or maybe you don't even know how to find a provider. I myself have been doing this with trying to find an ophthalmologist. I've been really overdue for getting a new prescription for my contact lenses, which is actually why I'm wearing colored contact lenses right now, because the ones I'm wearing don't require you to have an up-to-date prescription. And it's actually making me really anxious because at my last year's eye doctor appointment, I had ocular hypertension, and so I really need to get that checked out. But it is not that simple because I no longer live in the US. If you do live in the US, you can literally zap all of these issues by just finding a provider through Zocdoc. Zocdoc is a completely free app and website designed to help you find high-quality in-network providers, pick the one you want, and instantly book an appointment. They have over 100,000 providers to pick from, so it's like a giant database of doctors in a wide range of specialties that take a wide range of insurances and it's literally at no cost to you. Zocdoc is completely for free. I love the ease of finding a healthcare provider in your area who takes your insurance, not needing to call the office and actually talk to someone. You can also see providers' reviews. You can choose the most convenient appointment time, pick the most convenient person for you, like if you have a particular gender preference for your provider. And oftentimes you can get appointments within 24 to 72 hours after booking it. So stop procrastinating and do this today, right after watching this video. Go and schedule that appointment that you've been putting off. Visit the Zocdoc link below in my description box and in the pinned comment to easily book local top-rated doctors who can see you quickly. Thank you so much to Zocdoc, and let's get back to the video. So how do you balance both novelty and tradition? How does this actually look in practice? Let's talk about increasing novelty first. These activities need to be active as opposed to passive. Something that requires your full attention and effort. They need to be exciting. It needs to be something that brings you in a state of what's called physiological arousal rather than just relaxation. Arousal is when you feel your heart beating, you feel, surge of energy. Relaxation is when you're just kind of at peace. You want these things to be arousing. You want them also to be shared. You want to be doing them together. And they also don't have to take very long. Remember, the study I talked about found that just 7 minutes in a novel activity was enough to improve the relationship quality. I think you can take 7 minutes out of your day to do something new with your partner. So to give you a personal example, recently I was thinking about how to spruce up me and my husband's routine a little bit, because we live in a very remote village where we don't know a lot of people, and it just feels a little bit like a year of hibernation. And so I was like, okay, what's a way to make it more exciting and to do more active things together rather than passive things? So we talked about it, and we talked about we could travel more. We could take up playing board games. We used to do that a lot during the pandemic, for instance. We could cook together rather than taking turns cooking. We could go to a dance class together. We could make music together. We could try each other's workouts rather than just watching TV together, which is too passive, or reading in parallel, which is not really done together. It's not shared. So we did some of these things. For example, I did my husband's workout. He tried my workout, and I had a great time. I don't know about him. I know my workouts are not exactly what he loves doing, but I had a fantastic time being able to share that with him and doing something active, and I was just smiling the entire time. Another component of encouraging novelty in your relationship is encouraging novelty in your partner individually by encouraging their self-development and their growth and their change, and then joining in on their new identity or their new activity. When you let your partner change and evolve as a person, it's kind of like getting a new partner. You get that kick of novelty. It's why, for instance, when people get back together with an ex after a period spent apart, it's kind of like the first time they're with that person. It's the same amount of excitement because, in a sense, it is a different person. They're a different version of themselves. So, for example, my husband over the weekend was teaching himself some new coding method. And I thought that was really cool because I know he doesn't really enjoy coding. He does some of it for his marketing work. But I thought it was very admirable that he was in his free time taking the initiative to learn something new. And so I was just kind of asking him about it and just trying to encourage it, because the way I see it, if he's growing as a person, then that peppers in more novelty in our relationship, and that strengthens us. And if I can lean into those things that are novel about him, then that also strengthens us. Now, what about increasing tradition? How do you do that? Well, you want to find these everyday rituals of connection, these little ways to show appreciation to your partner and to do them consistently. For example, my husband loves getting coffee in bed. It makes his day. And so it's such a small thing, but sometimes I'll try to bring him coffee in bed and I'll bring it in his favorite mug. And something that he does for me is after I work out, when I go to shower, I come back, my yoga mat is gone. He's put it away for me. Or sometimes when I'm having lunch and I haven't cleaned up after myself yet and I go back in the kitchen, he already cleaned up after me. But there are also rituals that you don't do every day, that you do more on special occasions. For example, how do you celebrate holidays together? Do you have any birthday or anniversary traditions? One thing that we used to do when we were living in Seattle was I think every other week or so, we would go for oysters happy hour and to the movies. And obviously right now, we can't do that because I'm pregnant, so I can't have oysters or happy hour. And we're not really close to a movie theater where we live. But once the baby is born, I definitely want to bring that tradition back, and I want to make it a habit of like every week or every 2 weeks we go to Oyster Happy Hour. We take the baby along with us. And just generally, what are the stable aspects of the schedule for the entire family or just for you and your partner? I recently heard a tip about having certain types of dinner on certain days of the week to just make meals more of a predictable routine for kids. So for example, having seafood on Monday, something rice-based on Tuesday, something pasta-related on Wednesday, some sort of pizza on Thursday, something vegetarian on Friday, free day on Saturday, and something international on Sunday. So this is a really good example of balancing structure with flexibility. You have room for people to choose or suggest something new because, out of these options, there are so many different things they could choose, but also within the confines of the tradition. There's room for flexibility on that free day on Saturday. Even if it is a predetermined form of freedom, it does a really good job of balancing tradition with novelty. So in conclusion, it's really important if you want your relationship to last and to be super happy, to balance both novelty and tradition. In what ways do you and your partner do that? Or if you're not in a relationship yet, in what ways do you imagine you might want to if you're ever in a relationship? Let me know in the comments down below. Hope this video is helpful, and I'll see you soon.